Shan and Tam fam, welcome to the Real Talk podcast. On this podcast, we talk about real issues. We talk about parenting, love, family, friendships, and everything in between.
It is our hope that you will journey with us through some critical conversations. We would like for you to drop us a comment, to share the conversation, and to let us know what you would like to see us talk about on Real Talk.
Hello, Shan and Tam fam. We are back with another episode of Real Talk. And this week we have one of our favorite guests back with us, just to follow up on a conversation that we had last week about the kitchen table. Today we have Roel Patterson, our brother from another mother, Roel, who's always willing to give us the male perspective of these conversations that we have here. And today we're just following up on the discussion from last week where Shan and I talked about our kitchen table and the people who sit at that table, our support system, who they are, what does that kitchen table look like, even in terms of diversity and the things that these people in our lives bring to the table. What does the kitchen table mean to you? So we have Roel here. Roel is a social marketer, and he's no stranger to us and our listeners. And we'll give you more information about where you can find Roel. And he is a wealth of wisdom, always on fire when it comes to dropping his thoughts, and someone who really seeks to empower, to mentor, and to coach individuals into different spaces and phases and accomplishing different goals in their lives. So welcome, Roel, and thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us again today.
Welcome.
It's always a pleasure. It's always a pleasure. I've always, I feel so blessed when I get the chance to come and share with you guys and to be a part of your platform. I hope and trust that as we continue to share, that many people's lives will be blessed, and that they will get some perspective. I'm not here to declare being right, but I've been a man now for few decades, so I think I can at least I think I'm qualified.
You're credible.
Share
to speak
the
into
man's
that
perspective,
Yeah. And you have some fans out there in our listeners, because somebody even sent me a message the other day saying we need to hear more of Roel. When is he coming back? What Roel have to say about this? So they are waiting to hear from you. So, Roel, we talked about the kitchen table, and you heard from the introduction. Like Shan and I had a discussion last week about, what that is for us. The concept is born out of Mcihelle Obama's new book, The Light We Carry, and she talks about the kitchen table being a safe space, being somewhere where people, as she was growing up, that's where you kind of put it all out there. You talked about the things that upset you, you talked it through with the people that you love, which was normally her parents or friends or family. And over the course of her life, what that kitchen table looks like for her now as an adult, as a mother, as an accomplished woman, and so on. So we just wanted to hear from you from a male perspective. Do you have a kitchen table? And who's sitting at that table with you?
What does it look like?
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, in that context, yes, I do have a kitchen table. And and the people that sit there are not people that just show up for the barbecue, right? These are people that are selected,
right,
to be there. And I've never read Michelle's book. I believe I should read it though. I've been hearing a lot of great things about it. So I don't know how the framework in which she worked with it, but in the context, I do have a kitchen table, and I and I select these people. Some of them were morphed into my life because we probably grew up together or stuff like that. And so that's a part of my story. However, it is not a common thing in the male realm for that to happen. It's
Yeah, I
not
was just
really
thinking that.
it's not really common. And because of how we are wired, right?
Right.
We're wired to show strength. We're wired to show dominance. We're wired to hunt. We're wired to kill. We're wired to feed the multitude. That's how we're wired. And anything that does not represent those things that I just itemized shows weakness. And
Wow.
and because of that, most men do not share their most vulnerable moments. And that's the reason mental health is so common among men, particularly.
Yes. Yeah,
right?
because they don't have that outlet.
We don't have that outlet, right? Like you know, to stray a little away from the topic here, but just to paint the right picture, is that you'll have women that will go to their gynecologist. Men will not go to do a prostate exam. You have way less men doing that. So what it does, it kind of paralyzes the manhood inside of you to really share from a vulnerable perspective. Most times when you find men sharing with other men, or women, because women can be a part of the kitchen table as well.
Right.
When you find men sharing, it is usually from a strong point, like a point of a space of strength, where sometimes they have to be overpowering the person. So let us say they go through a breakup. Then they will be showing all the flaws about the person.
Yes, but they're not being vulnerable about their
They're not being vulnerable
insecurities.
To say, hey, you know what? These were some of the stuff that I did that contributed to that breakup, right? And that is some of the stuff that, but you do need a kitchen table, and I'm so glad. I think I probably have one of the best on the planet.
So, and it's interesting you said that, Roel, that, men are not vulnerable or they're not transparent about their struggles, but where does the accountability piece come in?
That's what I was wondering.
Because if there's nobody there, if you're not able to be vulnerable and to say, hey, I'm struggling with this, because we're not perfect. We all go through things. We all struggle.
Right.
If you don't have a brother, right, where you can come to and say, hey, may I have this issue and may I struggle with it? What do you think? Where is the accountability for the men?
Yeah. So, society plays somewhat of a false or, unkind narrative when it comes to men. And it's very, and a really wrong expectation on men. Because rather than seeing men as they should be seen as human beings, they're seen as leaders, which men are leaders, right? But it does not mean that a leader does not bleed. We all suffer pain. But the narrative of society in most cases is that if you bleed, you can't war. You can't go to war. If you're afraid, then you can't go to battle. And this is not just now. If you go way back in history, in the BCs, in the biblical days,
right,
the ones that are afraid are sent home, right? You're not strong enough, right? So we create this false expectation of what a man should be. And then we suffer this. One of the greatest things that we suffer, men and women, is the fear of judgment, right? So if we are going to be seen as weak, then why even show up at all, right? No, does that mean that a man doesn't need to be accountable? No, it doesn't mean that. It means that he still should be accountable. Let me give you a quick story. So I have a friend. He's like my best friend. Everybody that I introduce him to, I introduce him as my brother because he's he's that close of a friend to me. So
Right.
everybody really believe that we are blood
You guys are
brothers,
blood brothers, yeah.
right?
Mhm.
And he's my best friend. And here's the reason he's my best friend. Because he's not an agreeable person. And that's what most people cannot deal with. Most people cannot deal with a person who is not an agreeable person, meaning
What do you
that,
mean that always
Mhm.
agrees with you?
so you want to share something with somebody and you want them to be on your side.
Okay.
And if they're not on your side, if they're not speaking according to the thing that will make you look best,
Right.
then this person cannot be my friend. No, my friend and I, my brother and I, we have a lot of heated conversations
Right.
between the two of us, because I know that what he's saying to me is what I'm supposed to hear.
Right.
But I just don't want to hear it, right?
Yeah.
Because it affects the ego,
Yeah.
right? Oh, so we have some very tense conversations.
Yeah.
However, I am also man enough, and I also embrace the feminine side of my life, where I can call him up an hour or two after or the next day and say, hey, you know what you were saying was really true. I just didn't want you to say that at that moment.
Yeah.
Right.
And that is a big thing right there.
And that's it. We never discuss it again. We just move to the next thing until we get into another heated thing, because I know I can trust him with my life. I know that I can, whatever he says, that's what I should be hearing.
Yeah.
He's not somebody. And sometimes when I'm calling him up to share something vulnerable, like I recently go through a transition with my life, a breakup, and when I was calling him to share that, I knew some of the stuff he was going to hit out on me against.
Right.
Hit out against on when it regarding
he was
to
going to
me.
keep it real about your flaws.
He was going to keep it very, very real. But I knew if I didn't make that call, I would be doing myself a disservice, right? Yeah. And I would not have gotten to this point right now on this particular day where I accept the result of that breakup.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I'll be living into a false narrative. I'll be living in a pretentious mode. I'll be living as if, okay, that person is wrong. I'm right. My brother doesn't know what he's saying, So I made the call knowing what he was going to say, knowing that he's going to be in agreement with some things on my side, but also he's going to be in disagreement with some stuff.
And that's huge maturity right there, Roel.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, because something you said just now, you said you lean into your feminine side, right?
Oh, yeah.
And called and to say, listen, I knew what you were saying was right, but I wasn't open to hearing it right there. That's very mature. I can't say in that context, because at least you know that this person, what he's coming to say, it's not to harm you, right? He's speaking the truth, and it would rather that someone who loves you, they be open with you and tell you the truth and tell you a lie.
Yeah.
Right. So I really appreciate you saying that.
Either.
Absolutely. I really appreciate you saying that.
Yeah.
And I think that's why one of the very first points that you made is so important, that the people at this kitchen table are invited people and not just people who show up, because I feel that when these people get the permission by nature of being at that kitchen table to speak into your life, it needs to be the truth, and it needs to be heartfelt. It needs to be with love, even though it might not be agreeable, as you put it, and it needs to be really for your greatest good, right?
Yeah.
And it's not everybody who shows up to the barbecue wants to be there because they really and truly have a vested interest in your well-being, right?
Absolutely.
So I think that just really goes to qualify that point, that they have to be invited, and they have really been vetted and approved to be there.
Yes. And funny enough, while you have to invite these people, and as I said, some of them will will be morphed into your life because some people are just a part of your life based on how you grew up and all of that. You might have grown up with that person. However, you must also know what topics to bring up with that
Right.
person. Like my mom is a member at my kitchen table, but I know not to bring up certain things with my mom, like elements of my breakup and stuff like that. I never discussed with my mom because I know she could not deal with it. She was going to just explode like a time bomb, right? I know that. No, it doesn't mean that she's a bad member at the kitchen table. It just means that I know what
she can handle,
she can deal with and what she can't deal with. Now, the reason I use this whole concept of barbecue and stuff like that, everybody that comes to your house because you're having a barbecue Sunday, they're always going to say the barbecue is good. Why? Because you're feeding them.
Yeah.
Right? But people that invest in it, like if you have somebody contributing, like if you say, hey, everybody coming to the barbecue need to contribute $50. If it's not good, they're going to say, hey, this is too salty. Because they have investment in it.
Yeah, that's true.
Right?
Yeah, that's true.
So these people that you're bringing to your table have to have investment.
Yes.
In your life. They have to, their life is a better life because you are in it.
Yes.
So they're going to want the best for you. Like my brother knows that his life is better because I'm in it. Why? Because I'm the uncle that send gifts to his kids. I'm the one that writes his wife Christmas cards and sent to her.
Yes.
That's not necessarily a common thing, right? So that matters to him. It matters to him that outside of him, I am willing to send his wife a card,
right,
or to call her without even his knowledge, just to check in on her. That matters to him.
Right.
So he's going to want to make sure that everything is okay with me because he wants to protect that for himself as well.
Yeah.
Right?
Your lives
these
are better.
People have to have an investment.
Both your lives are better for each other being in it. And there's a point that you brought up too that I think Shan and I talked about last week too, the fact that it's not everybody who is at the table. We did talk about that. Is
you're going to share everything with everybody.
Yeah, like they serve the same purpose. Really. No. Right? No. You can't share everything with everybody. Like different people have their place and space for what that means for enhancing your life, like you said.
Exactly. And you have to be willing to do the work to know who these people are and what contribution they have. You have to know that, right? And it comes from designing your life. You have to set the plan to design your own life and what it is that matters to you, and be unforgiving for certain things. If somebody goes beyond what you think they should go at the table, they're excused from the table and they're not invited anymore.
Real talk.
Just
be intentional about cutting them off, you're saying.
It's as serious as that. It doesn't mean that you don't like them. It doesn't mean that you don't hang out with them. You're just not at the table. Let them hear that you have gone through a big transition and say, oh, I didn't know this. Oh, yes, it did happen. So you have to also know that you owe nobody any obligation that is not going to make this feast that you're putting together a well executed plan.
Oh wow.
Which is your life.
At your table, do you have people of different ages, like people who are older than you, people who are younger than you, same age group?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what does that makeup look like in terms of diversity, demographic?
Yes, and you mentioned gender as well too. So do
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
have
yeah, of course.
women? Do you have you mentioned your mom? So do you have other women as well at the
Yes,
table?
I do have other women at my table. As a matter of fact, this might be a little bit controversial, so let me warn you guys from now. One of the person at my table is one of my exes. And the reason she's there is
Mm,
because she's just like my brother, meaning she's just gonna tell me as it is. And she's the only person from a female's perspective that I
mm.
know will do that.
And it's
Oh.
interesting you bring that up. Boy, this is like
Mhm.
deja
It's
vu.
deja vu. That's exactly what I'm thinking because we
Does that make
just
Yeah.
sense?
had this
Yeah, it does. We were
conversation
having this
yesterday with our
conversation
sisterhood.
yesterday, and some sisters were saying, "Well, how you manage to still talk to that person there? You know, like how do you maintain a relationship with an ex, right?" But as you
Mhm.
said, they
Yeah.
bring a different perspective, and there's
Exactly.
no boundaries that's being crossed.
No, and trust me, she doesn't like me.
Maybe
I
you should
can
have.
tell you that. She doesn't, I'm not one of her favorite people.
Oh wow,
But but
Okay,
I
that's
know
but
for
you
interesting.
guys, but you guys can keep
but
it real with each other.
but when it comes to getting perspective, she's not going to be malicious. She's not going to say things just because our
Got it.
relationship went sour. She's
Yeah.
not going to do things and say, it's so good for him.
Right.
She's not going to think like this, right?
Wow.
She's not going to think like this. She is really going to share with me exactly what I need to hear.
And
So
those
you
are the
trust
people you
her.
want around you.
Super. I
You
really
trust
trust
her.
her.
You
Yeah, of
trust her.
course.
Yeah.
And there are no boundaries being crossed.
Right.
As a matter of fact, there can no boundaries can be crossed, especially with this relationship. And here's why. The minute that the minute a boundary is crossed, I am going to lose that.
Friendship.
Yeah, I'm going to lose that 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 access
Yes.
to share the real thing to me that I need,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's
right?
so true. Yeah.
No,
Okay.
I'm not telling anybody to go out there and refriend their exes. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying,
Don't
Put it
I'm
in
come
just
for us,
saying,
people.
context.
I'm just saying in my situation,
Yeah.
it happened to work out in my
Hmm.
situation,
Hmm.
right?
And it works for some people.
It
Some people
does.
are able to do that.
Yeah,
Some people say, me can't maintain that relationship with an ex, but I love the perspective you placed on that.
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. What about ethnicity? Like, is there anybody outside of your race that is at your kitchen table? Because I know for us, Tam and I, there's another book that we spoke about too, where they spoke about connections with Black women and white women. And yes, they're different, but both bring something to the table and to the relationship. Do you have people of different race at your kitchen table?
I have people at different genders. I have different um, age group at my kitchen table. People who are very, very few younger than me. Most are either in my, and when I say most, my kitchen table is not big. It's just a handful of people. But
Right.
I have a lot of people that I look up to. Some of them are family members. One of them is actually a professor at my university, just somebody that I can vent to, and he will give me his perspective. Again, my brother. And again, outside of that, I also have people outside of the race, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that came about mainly because I was my partner is Asian, right? So we have a lot of friends that are Asians, right?
Right.
And
Yes, yes.
then because of that, um, those friends have other friends and we just end up merging.
Blend.
So
Yes,
Right.
yes.
like her sister is, and it's not really her blood sister either. It's like just with me and my brother. So her
Mm-hmm.
sister is somebody that I share a lot with as well.
Okay.
And this is not to like going back and forth with conversation. It is just to share with her because, like, if for instance I'm having some disconnection, I'm not getting something. I know that our cultures are different. So
Right.
that's the person I go with because I can't talk to my partner in that time because
Right.
remember I'm
So
the
you go to
enemy
her
in that
sister.
Yeah,
time, right? So
yeah.
I go to her sister and I say, hey, here's this problem we're having, and I don't know how to solve this problem.
Okay.
No, that's another thing that I think most of us as men struggle with, and I struggled with this for years, literally for years, until I was able to overcome it. One of the problems we struggle with, we cannot admit that here is something that I cannot do.
Wow.
Or letting people in. Or
I have
letting
not
people in, right?
figured out, right? I have not, and that's one of the reasons. A bit off topic here, but I was talking to a guy the other day, and he was telling me that he was having an issue with his relationship. They just didn't have sexual chemistry. And I said, sexual chemistry is not very difficult to have. And he said, yeah, but I just can't, think. And I said, here's how you have sexual chemistry. Here's why you're not having sexual chemistry. You're afraid to accept that you don't know what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all you have to do. That's how you build chemistry. Hey, baby, I don't really know how to please you, and I would love to get your help.
Tell me.
Tell me. Stop trying to do these fancy moves that you're seeing. You're gonna hurt somebody, simple, and more likely you're gonna hurt yourself.
Hurt yourself.
So stop trying these things.
Just ask,
because the person is gonna tell you what matters to them. You don't have to try to be a macho overthinker, bull, anything like this.
Just ask.
Let the person teach you, and that's it. So I hope. I don't know why I went there, but
no, that's okay. But I'm hearing, who I'm hearing channeling in my head now, Miss Fabulous.
Yes. Yes, guide him.
Tell him what to do, tell him. But we get it. Yeah.
But that's interesting. I like Roel, that, and I guess this comes with time because, as you said, you weren't always like this, right? Where you now seem at this stage in your life, you have a kitchen table of people where you can go to, you can be vulnerable with. And, it's something key that you said earlier. That's why there's the mental health rise is so high with men, because they often don't have this outlet or this space to vent, right? Because, again, how society has portrayed men to be or what they should be. So I'm glad that we're having this conversation, that you're giving allowance for men to be vulnerable, right? Yeah. To feel like you don't always have to know it all, or to have it all together. And it's okay not to be okay.
Exactly.
And to ask for help.
And to ask for help. And the thing is, as you said, I wasn't always like this, but you have to have the desire to not remain the person you are. You have to have a strong desire not to be the person you are.
Real talk.
Otherwise, you're only going to continue being that person. Right? And if you think that you're going to be judged based on being vulnerable, that is clear indication that you have the wrong person at your table. That's it, right? So find the people that are willing to give you a listening ear and be honest with you.
Yes.
The worst person at your table is the person who is agreeable person.
Who agrees with everything you're saying.
who agrees with everything you're saying, because they really don't agree with everything you're saying. And that's how your entire private life is exposed, because later they're going to say, well, Shan said so and so, and I just said yes, but I don't know why she did that though, right? But the person that is going to be straight with you, and tell you as it is, that person you don't want to lose from your table, because they're not common. You want to have those people. Age group, you need people who are more advanced than you. And again, my kitchen table, this is something I think I should say. My table it only have people that have a part of the missing piece of my life.
Real talk.
Real talk.
Let me say that again. It only have people that have a part of the missing piece of my life. So I'm not just bringing somebody there. So like my mom, the reason my mom is there is not because she's my mom. It's because my mom just say exactly what is on her mind.
Yes.
Right? No, she's sometimes dead wrong. Right? But she's gonna say, I don't have to wonder if my mom is judging anything. She's just gonna tell me as it is.
She's gonna keep it real.
Yeah.
Exactly. And because of that, she's at my table. Now, that is something I always want to cultivate in my own life.
Yes.
So that's the reason she's there. Like my brother and his family, the way how they communicate, the way they resolve issues. When I was in my relationship, that's not how my partner and I resolved issues. It was always like nitpicking, because I'm always saying, hey, we have to sit down and talk about this. And she wasn't into that. But my brother, he and his family, that's how they do it. They might be at war, but they decide to sit and deal with it, right?
Yes.
So because of that, he's at my table, because, hey, that's something I would want.
You want that for your own self.
Don't get anybody at your table that does not have something. Let me say it this way. Don't get anybody at your table that does not have a plate that you can eat from.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
it
powerful.
Wouldn't make sense. It wouldn't make sense. Otherwise, they're only going to be eating from your plate.
Yeah. That's great. That's a great point. I think we can even end with, Roel.
Yeah.
Right?
Roel, we could talk to you forever.
Absolutely. Have people at your table something that you want, or something that's missing from your life. I love that.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Roel, for, as always, your insight, your words of wisdom, your just fire gems. I can't put enough fire on Facebook or Instagram for Roel sometimes when he drops his gems.
I know.
And we got a lot from you today again. So fam, Roel, as we mentioned before, he is a digital social marketer and a business coach, and he's an entrepreneur, and he helps people really find more purpose and fulfillment, by increasing their quality time and connection with their kids, families, and making strides financially. You need to subscribe to all his platforms. He's on IG at I am Roel Patterson, Twitter at Roel Patterson. He's on TikTok at I am Roel Patterson, and Facebook at Roel Patterson as well. Find him on social media, follow him, and trust me, you won't be disappointed. Roel, thank you so much for joining us again today. I know that we're going to have you back. And hopefully that will be soon. And we just want to thank you again for sharing your time.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. I really appreciate being here. And anybody from the family that finds me because of you guys, just send me a note that, hey, we met through Shan and Tam, whatever, right? Just let me know so that I can give you some special love.
Love it.
Wonderful. We love it. We love it. Thank
Thank
you.
you,
So,
Roel.
fam,
All right.
find us on Spreaker.com. Find us on Facebook at Real Talk with Shan and Tam. Also on IG, Sisters Shan and Tam. And tune in again next week for another episode of Real Talk. Until then, take care, walk good, fam, and stay well.
Bye, everyone.
Don't forget to visit Shan and Tam on all their social media websites. At Sisters Shan and Tam on Instagram, Shan Tam Lodge-Lee on Facebook, and check out their blogs at shanandtam.blogspot.com. Tune in again next time on Real Talk.